He was reviled by his colleagues. "You're a misogynist and a terrible person," one charged in an email to him. "I will keep hounding you until one of us is fired. F you." Threats followed. Internal investigations were launched. We might never have heard of James Damore, an unassuming 29-year-old software engineer from the Chicago suburbs, had he not been fired from his job at the tech leviathan Google in August 2017. For 4 years, James would quietly occupy the sanctum of one of the world's most prestigious companies, having left behind doctoral studies in biology at Harvard to intern at Google-owned YouTube. The internship led to employment with Google, then a promotion to senior software engineer. His future there looked bright and he was on the fast track. Then, in November 2016, a political earthquake erupted with the election of President Trump.
I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton. She congratulated us. It's about us.
That's when things began to change at Google, James would later reflect. In June 2017, James attended a diversity and inclusion summit.
Unfortunately, rather than talk about how to really include everyone on the team, it just talked about diversity, and specifically racial and gender diversity at Google. And they said, the population has 50% women, Google has 20% women, therefore sexism. And that was really how deep their argument went.
Meetings were generally recorded, not this one.
You've also said that they have these sort of super secret diversity sessions in which they discuss all of this.
It's just a group of all these people talking about the benefits of diversity and how much they love diversity and all the sexism and racism that happens and how we have to try to fix that.
During breakout sessions, James asked whether Google looked at viewpoint diversity in its hiring decisions and in evaluating how inclusive Google was as a workplace. No, came the answer. We only look at demographic diversity, meaning gender and race. To James, this policy was dangerous, possibly illegal, and even backward. He decided to write a memo questioning what he called Google's ideological echo chamber. In it, he observed, "Google's left-leaning makes us blind to our biases and uncritical of its results, which we're using to justify highly politicized programs." Overall, the memo is startlingly honest and even-handed, and expresses only a desire for open examination of the diversity policies at Google and a transparent discussion about related issues. But the memo sparked outrage on the left-wing campus, many believing erroneously that James had generalized that women and minorities weren't qualified to work at Google. James Damore was fired from his job at Google because of this memo.
Silicon Valley started as just sort of libertarian, open to many ideas, went to Burning Man all the time, but now it's really, there's a groupthink, and we see that many people are now leaving Silicon Valley because of this.
So since you were forced out of Google, not because you didn't perform well in your job, but because you tried to take them seriously when they said they believed in different views, and they don't, have you talked to people who are still there about it?
Yeah, it seems like it's gotten even worse, where they've doubled down on some of this diversity rhetoric, and people are even more afraid now to speak up.
The articles that have misrepresented the memo in order to support Google's silencing of this non-compliant voice have come from countless publications, including the New York Times and Time magazine. And these articles have been vicious in their personal attacks on this man, whose sole purpose was to ensure that the discussion of these issues was a frank one.
Because the whole point of my memo was actually to improve Google and Google's culture. And they just punished me and shamed me for doing it.
James is now a plaintiff in a wrongful termination lawsuit against his former employer. And despite his superior qualifications, he now finds himself virtually unemployable in the tech industry. James is now the face of viewpoint discrimination at Google and throughout the tech industry. Because he defied the ideological orthodoxy at Google, he has become a reluctant martyr to freedom of thought in private enterprise. The American Freedom Alliance stands in support of James Damore, who has suffered greatly at the hands of those who seek to control our speech, our points of view, our very thoughts. If we lose these freedoms, we literally have nothing left. We salute James for his honesty, his striving for open discourse in an area that demands it, and for his commitment to fighting back against those who would silence him.